Lamelo Ball is a basketball enigma marked by a half-decade of media coverage. Questions have swarmed around the functionality to his flair, the sustainability to his style, and most importantly, how did he make that pass? The third-year guard was only recently given the right to drink, but has already put together a very stacked resume in the NBA, including a Rookie of the Year, rookie team, and just recently All-Star selection last year. And to start the year, Ball has been doing what he's been doing his entire life, proving people wrong. This year, averaging a whopping 23 and 8 on positive efficiency. And like always, a big part of that has been what Ball does in transition. Every great offense has its NASCAR driver pushing the pace in transition. That's what made the 80s Lakers Showtime and what made the Suns in the 2007 seconds or less. And in this manner, LaMelo is quite similar to the historic playmakers like Steve Nash and Magic. LaMelo is always looking to push the pace with crazy outlet passes and one-handed baseball passes from anywhere on the court. Lamelo also does a good job grabbing and going, getting the ball, pushing the pace with his handle, and creating for his teammates in transition that way. Ball does a great job using himself as a bridge between a defender and a trailer in transition, creating open threes and opportunities to drive off of the catch for his teammates. On a possession like here, Ball is still quickly pushing the pace, but scanning the floor like the basketball robot that he is. On this transition play, Lamelo Ball uses this quick crossover as a little bit of a reset in transition to scan the floor. He realizes that Nikola Jokic, the would-be backline defender, is on the perimeter guarding him, so decides to hit this little hit ahead to the trailer, knowing that the only backline defender that could possibly contest is the much smaller KCP. This is just one example of how Ball creates easy opportunities to score, layups even, in transition with his passing. Ball also has the ability to score himself in transition, whether it's grabbing and going and getting to the basket out of transition or as a trailer for quick threes. And LaMelo is the main reason that the Hornets the last couple of years have been one of the more successful transition offenses in frequency and efficiency. But transition is not the only place where chemistry sparks in Charlotte. LaMelo, while not as enchanting, is still a pretty magical half-court playmaker. As a pick-and-roll passer, LaMelo is fantastic at hitting the roll man early with bounce passes. His height allows him to see over pick-and-roll coverages, and he can make these passes from a plethora of arm angles. Charlotte puts him in the proper positions to do this with quick and effective sets, like here where you'll see PJ Washington is receiving a off-ball screen from Mason Plumlee. Washington then goes to a screen for LaMelo, and Plumlee curls into a top of the key pick and roll. And on the weak side, to freeze that side of the court, you have a hammer set for PJ by Kelly Oubre. This basically eliminates the backside on the side that Mason is rolling, and all LaMelo has to do is quickly and effectively hit a bounce pass ahead of Plumlee for a dunk, because Sabonis is playing at the level of the pick and roll here. And here you'll see a similar setup where Kelly Oubre gets a initial off-ball screen from McDaniels. He ghosts the screen at the top of the key for LaMelo. McDaniels curls into a top of the key pick and roll with LaMelo. And on the backside, you're seeing Terry Rozier clear out to the other side, getting a screen from Plumlee on that side. What this does is this is clearing Killian Hayes, and this forces Killian Hayes to go from the side where McDaniels is going to roll to the opposite side. LaMelo adds even more time to this by using his eyes to manipulate the defense, right? Making the defense think that he is going to hit Rozier here with a two-handed pass before he mid-jump audibles to a pass to McDaniels for a layup. These are examples of Charlotte manufacturing easy attempts with their flow and their sets, but LaMelo makes all of this possible. Part of LaMelo's weaknesses as a pick-and-roll operator revolve around his scoring limitations. LaMelo the past 2 years has been one of the more inefficient volume pick-and-roll operators as a scorer the last 3 seasons. LaMelo is not particularly strong, and neither is he a particularly great leaper, and when you mix that with the fact that his upper body flexibility isn't great, you combine a bunch of ingredients that equal a pretty bad finisher. And while LaMelo Ball isn't a particularly bad pull-up three-point shooter, he's not a good enough one to justify the majority of his pick and roll shot selection coming from either here or the notoriously inefficient floater range. In turn, you have a recipe for relatively inefficient pick and roll scoring. But LaMelo's lack of finishing juice shouldn't be misconstrued as a lack of downhill pressure exerted on the defense. While LaMelo doesn't have the jaw-dropping first step of a John Morant or the hulkish strength of a Luka Doncic, or even the herky-jerky handle mastery of a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Ball is able to generate driving angles for himself through a unique usage of shin angles and stride length. You see this bizarre driving process on a possession like here, where LaMelo Ball to snake the pick and roll, bends his foot and shin to a 180-degree angle to generate power, and then uses his incredible stride length to gallop his way to the basket. LaMelo, even though he is a weak finisher, in this case is forcing a reaction, and here this opens up a opportunity for a skip pass. Ball's handle is wild, but it's never out of control. It's always on a string like a yo-yo, and this allows him to pull off a combination of dribble moves and hezzies that allows him to beat his man off the dribble, even though he's not the greatest at finishing at the rim once he wins off the dribble. This allows him to create for his teammates out of the drive. Ball is 8th in the league in drives out of drive, which showcases that he can, in fact, create for his teammates when he is going downhill. And of course, Ball isn't a perfect driver. He sometimes fizzles out while getting downhill due to his lack of ability to handle strength. But strength development is something that will come as Ball grows. He got one of the later starts when it comes to this, and because of that, NBA training continuously will build up Ball to the point where his frame will be ideal. And this doesn't even begin to mention Ball's off-ball game, where a combination of give and goes, off-ball screens, and dribble handoffs allow him to showcase his ability as a playmaker and as a pretty good off-ball shot maker, where he shot over 41% off the catch the last 3 years. And overall, Ball is one of the more fascinating young players in the league, but this fascination does come with functionality, and his style does come with sustainability. And while there are lingering limitations, Ball has the ability to grow past those to become one of the best offensive players in the league.